Baldy, it's Gresham Fauria, and did you even know that your brother played with Fauria in the league?
I know he was up with the Patriots, when Parcells took that job up there.
No. Seattle.
Oh, Seattle. Oh, my brother went up there. He tried to play one more year.
Yeah. He was. I was with him a lot.
I remember my Sweeney went up there. My brother went up there, and then pull the cap muscle or something. I told my brother, play as long as you can, and then 2 more years. So I'm like, all right, So
that's my line.
Out for him, but
that's my line.
Okay,
but play as long as you possibly can until you're mentally and physically so sick of it you want to throw up, and then when that time finally comes, Baldy, get 2 more years. That is the goal.
Yeah. I leave out the graphic part that you just put in there, but yeah. But that actually sounds better. I might steal that part of the line too.
Yeah. Well, Baldy, I know we have football to break down, but the coaching search is still going on here in New England for an offensive coordinator. And one of the things that Christian and I have kind of been working through is, modern offense. What does Mayo want? Things like that. Baldy, if you were in Gerard Mayo's shoes, how would you go about trying to, knowing what you have in the draft, it seems like they want to draft quarterback, how would you start to put the pieces together of building a different or a new offense here in New England? How would you do it?
I might just go complete departure, 180 degrees from everything you just saw for 2 decades, and go Cliff Kingsbury, who started his career with the Patriots when he was drafted, knows everything about how the Patriots operate, but has a completely different way of playing offense, and just the air raid concept and how you have to attack in this league, formations, motions, matchups, all those things that Cliff did, to start rebuilding the Arizona Cardinals. They had success there with them. How he did it, at Texas A&M, how he did it at Texas Tech, what he just did at USC. I might just go complete departure and put Cliff in that position.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, we had this discussion of just the fans here locally, Baldy, and just how what they want is everything but Bill related. So Cliff would kind of be in that category, but also they want what would you consider a modern offense, and I'm curious like how you would even define that.
Well, modern is it's spread. It's spread with spread concepts. It's got tempo when you need tempo. And then when you have to gain a yard and you have to be able to run the ball in the final 4 minutes, you have that capability of doing that. So, I mean, that's kind of it's a little bit old school, but it's also, okay, let's get these matchups. Let's get these motions. Let's just get these guys out of position. So McVay, Shanahan, Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald, I think, or Mike McDaniel, I think these guys are on the cutting edge of where it's going with the way that you can get defenses out of position, how you can create matchups using whether it's field position or personnel groupings, and then play at different tempos. And those coaches I just mentioned all do those things.
Baldy, is there now more importance on the offensive play caller off of what you just mentioned, motions, personnel groupings, things like that? You played in an era in the NFL where it was a lot of, all right, 2 tight ends, here we go. Maybe we'll put 3 wide receivers on the field or put a fullback in there. Whereas, formationally, there wasn't anywhere near as much as that goes on now. Are offensive coordinators more important than ever, or is their importance being overblown because we just break down offense like crazy nowadays?
It's a good question. I think they're probably more important now because what happens is defenses try to match you. So now you can create – so, for example, let's just say the Rams. I think they have a dynamic offense, and they use – 11 personnel, all right, which is, 1 wide receiver, 1 back, 3, or 1 tight end, 1 back, 3 receivers, right? But they ask the receivers to actually play like a tight end and block the edges. So from a matchup standpoint, the defense is going to put out a matchup to match up your three receivers. They're either going to play nickel or dime defense. But the way that Nakua and Cooper Kupp and these guys block the edges, they block them as well as the tight end. And so you really have to defend them like they're in 12 personnel. Now, I'm getting technical on the radio. I don't mean to do that. But it's an advantage to the Rams and how you match up with them. And so I do think that all those things are vitally important, because if the Cowboys want to play you in dime defense like they did, well, the Green Bay is just going to run the ball right down their throats like they did, and everybody in Dallas shouldn't be surprised if they did it. But if you're going to play safeties down at the linebacker position, you got to run them out of that. And the Cowboys didn't have an answer. So I do think it's really, really important right now in how you play offense. The Eagles just kind of line up and play, and, quite frankly, defensive players just calling out their plays. They're that predictable right now. And if you get predictable, it's going to be hard to move the ball.
So we're talking to Brian Baldinger, NFL Network, on the Harbor One Hotline, and I'm curious, some of these offensive coordinators, new guys that are getting hired are guys that have never called plays before. How risky is it grabbing a guy like that and then putting him in charge of your offense?
It's risky. I mean, Mike McDaniel will tell you, last year was his first year ever calling plays. And he struggled. He was late getting plays in. He tried to do too much. The emotions of the game interfered. And he said he had to become a better play caller. He had to be better for his quarterback. He had to be more timely, all that kind of stuff. And so I don't think it's like learning anything. I don't think anybody just gets it right away. I think you learn on the job doing it. And you find out if you're a really good play caller or not. When you have that one play for that one situation, and can you dial it up at exactly the right time and then execute it? I mean, all those things are there's something that comes with experience of doing that.
Brian Baldinger with us, and of course our insider calls are brought to you by Old Spice Gentleman's Blend Body Wash, providing exfoliation plus 24/7 miniaturization because men have skin too. Baldy, let's go to the games this weekend. Kansas City gets a win on the road in Buffalo. They end up getting the tough win. Now they got to go play Baltimore. Baltimore gets that AFC Championship game at home. And there's two things for me. Number one, I'm curious what you think of the matchup. And then, which quarterback kind of has more riding on this? Is it the legend of Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson finally breaking through and getting to a Super Bowl? I'm curious from your end about the matchup and then the spot each of these QBs are in.
Well, I'll take the QB spot first, because I don't think that you can say one needs it more than the other. I mean, that's just fan talk, I mean, they both do. Pat's legend grew going on the road, winning his first playoff game on the road in Buffalo. It continues to grow. I mean, we'll put him in the pantheon of the greats if he goes into Baltimore and wins this and gets to another Super Bowl. But Lamar needs it just as much. And so, Lamar got paid this year to be a primetime player. Everybody knows what his record was going into the playoffs in the last week. And we saw the second half of what he had, and he was dynamic. He was unbelievable. He was impossible to stop. So I think they both need that. It's interesting just watching Kansas City's defense last week against Buffalo. They played a completely different style of defense last week against Buffalo than they did week 14. They literally said, we don't care what you do. You're not getting to get an explosive play against us. They had 78 plays. They didn't get one explosive play the whole day. And they made them go a long field, and they made them nickel and dime, and it wasn't good enough. They didn't score enough points. And so that was a completely different game plan. So I'm anxious to see what Steve Spagnuolo does to Lamar, because it doesn't look like any defense is built to stop him. They had an answer for the blitz last week. They had an answer on fourth down. If they played coverage, he ran it. If they played coverage, they pounded you with it. So they didn't have an answer for anything that Baltimore did. I'm anxious to see what Kansas City has for them this week and how they're going to defend them.
So, Baldy, has Patrick Mahomes kind of jumped into the whole Tom Brady realm of, hey, I want to pick against the Chiefs, but and everything leads me to believe that they're going to lose, but holy crap, they have Patrick Mahomes?
Yes, it's exactly what I'm saying. Baltimore is a better team. They have been a better team. They've dismantled. I saw them dismantle Seattle, dismantle San Francisco, dismantle Miami. I mean, just take them apart. And I think they could do the same thing, except Mahomes on the other side. And so, yes, it's exactly what we used to say about Tom, is what we're saying about Brady. He's just that good. He's that dangerous. He's that big of a gamer. The moment that where you play in the garage, on a frozen tundra in Baltimore, it doesn't matter. Like, this guy's mind and his eyes are just that talented.
Baldy, in terms of the